Santa Claus Doesn't Mop Floors, Chapter 3, A Peculiar Helper. Nobody gave Mr. Jolly a second thought, at least not until the end of the week. They were all sitting at the lunch table, slurping down chicken noodle soup. "Who was that?" Melody asked, with wide eyes. Howie, Eddie, and Liza glanced across the room. "It's Mr. Jolly," Liza said, as if she had just solved a hard math problem. "I know that," Melody snapped. "But who's that with him?" "I don't see anybody," Howie said. Eddie shook his head. "I think Melody has gone nuts." "I have not," Melody hissed. "You just can't see him." "I told you she's gone bananas," Eddie said confidently. "Now she's even seeing things." Melody slammed her spoon on the table. "I'm perfectly fine. You just can't see him because he's behind Mr. Jolly. Look over there now." They looked as a very short man walked around Mr. Jolly. He looked just like any school kid except for his pointy black beard. He was dressed in green from head to toe, and he even wore a little green hat. He waved his arms like he was excited. Mr. Jolly nodded his head every once in a while. "I've never seen anybody so short," Liza whispered. "He can't help it if he's short," Howie said smugly. "I want to know what they're talking about," Eddie said as he stood up. "Let's go find out." Howie grabbed Eddie. "That's eavesdropping." "So?" Eddie shrugged. "Listening to other people talking isn't very nice," Melody chimed in. "Who said I'm nice?" Eddie said as he pulled away from Howie. "You'll come too if you want to find out who the little man is." Liza, Howie, and Melody looked at each other and then followed Eddie. They carried their trays to the trash cans the long way around the cafeteria, so they'd have to walk right behind Mr. Jolly and the little man. "It's a mess, S.C., the little man was saying. "You'll have to come straighten it out. It's too close to Christmas for you to be fooling around as a janitor. There's real work to be done." Mr. Jolly interrupted him. "Eli, this is real work. There's not a thing wrong with being a janitor." "But we need you at home." "You can manage by yourselves, Eli," Mr. Jolly said. "I've got work here to do." Suddenly, Eli cleared his throat and pointed to the four kids with their trays. Howie, Eddie, and Melody looked away as they walked behind Mr. Jolly, but Liza froze. "We weren't listening," Liza said too loudly. "We were just putting our trays away." Mr. Jolly tugged on his beard and looked down at her. "You took the long way around now, didn't you?" he asked. Liza looked like she was ready to faint. Instead, she barely nodded. "Well," Mr. Jolly chuckled, "you better go put your tray away then." Mr. Jolly glanced down at his friend, Eli. "Like I said, I've got work to do here." Then he pulled out his little notebook and began to write.